everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbale in Abuja. We continue with our countdown, and we are not keeping our eyes away from the presidential election of 2023, which is just 52 days away. Nigerians are anticipating the opportunity to elect their leaders in an election that has been predicted to be one of the fiercest races in history, or the political history of Nigeria. So get your permanent voter cards, because without permanent voter cards, which is the PVC, there cannot be voting. Get your PVC and let your voice be heard and your vote be counted. The very last budget of the Buhari era was today signed at the presidential villa in Abuja. President Muhammadu Buhari signed into law the Appropriation Bill 2023, totaling 21.83 trillion. It is the eighth and the final annual budget of this administration. And the president said the aggregate expenditures of 21.83 trillion is an increase of 1.32 trillion over the initial executive proposal for a total expenditure of 20.51 trillion. President Buhari explained that the 2022 Supplementary Appropriation Act would enable the administration to respond to the havoc caused by the recent nationwide flood in the infrastructure and agriculture sectors. Take a listen to the president.
I have, however, directed the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning to engage with the legislature to revisit some of the changes made to the executive budget proposal. And it is my hope that you will receive cooperation in this regard from the National Assembly. I also urge the National Assembly to reconsider its position on my proposal to scrutinize the federal government's outstanding ways and means balance of the Central Bank of Nigeria. As I stated, the balance has accumulated over several years and represents funding provided by the CBN as lender of last resort to the government to enable it to meet obligations to lenders as well as cover budgetary shortfalls in projected revenues and or borrowing.
Well, that's President Muhammadu Buhari on the signing of the budget, which is the very last of his administration, the eighth annual budget. The All Progressives Congress is under pressure, and I put it into context. It's under pressure because if you are a follower of football or any sport or that, if you have the medal or you are the current champion, you are always weary of those who are coming to challenge and upset the scenario or take you out of prominence. And so that is the kind of pressure the ruling All Progressives APC is under. Don't forget, in 2015, they defeated the PDP. The PDP wanted to bounce back and reclaim the territory which they have held for almost 16 years, but they couldn't, with Buhari winning an election again in 2019. PDP getting this bloody nose twice in a row. They also want to take APC out of prominence. Now, there is a new kid on the block. He was a vice presidential candidate the last time. Now, he's getting a lot of endorsement. Now, he's gotten 2 in 72 hours. The APC perhaps is not getting any more comfortable with this, and we're going to be hearing and dissecting these issues. For tonight, what is the way out for the APC? Are they going to give up, hands up, and say, okay, we're giving because the race is no longer looking in our direction? Or what exactly are they looking at? What are the chances of the APC? What are their followers saying? What are their supporters saying? What about the PDP? We get that to talk about on another day. But tonight, we focus on the ruling APC. Is the room getting a bit more intense and heated for them? We'll be hearing from Festus Keyamo. He's my guest tonight on the program. But before I get to unveil my guest or introduce him, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, says he's been to several internally displaced persons camps in the last few weeks, and women and children make up the highest number, meaning they're the highest casualties of bad leadership and governance. This, according to Mr. Obi, is why women must mobilize and come together to collect their permanent voter cards and vote massively for the Labour Party in the coming elections.
When I see things people do in government, my heart bleeds. How would they be doing this? How do we look at unemployed people in the street? How do you look at people who have worked, whose pension have not been paid? And you're running around, living a first-class life.
The All Progressives Congress presidential candidate, Bola Tinubu, has urged Islamic clerics to desist from the hate preaching as the 2023 elections draw near. The presidential candidate stated this when he interacted with Islamic clerics from the Northwest region in Kano State. According to him, it is a responsibility for everyone to be fair and just to all, irrespective of ethnicity and faith.
As religious leaders, you are more than teachers, and the people be more than students and listeners. They are to be in obedience to the wish of Allah.
As the 2023 general elections draw closer, the Imo State Governor, Senator Hope Uzodimma, has advised Nigerians to ensure that they are able to differentiate between leaders and politicians who place personal interests above national interest and the interests of the people. Governor Uzodimma disclosed this in Owerri, the Imo State capital, while inaugurating the APC State Campaign Council for the 2023 general elections.
The people's interest should not be our national interest. We should be able to differentiate our individual interests from that of our national interests.
The governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress in Taraba State, Senator Emmanuel Bwacha, says the state is in a state of emergency and needs a new government to salvage the situation. The senator representing Taraba South is alleging that residents of the state have embraced a new culture of pretentious complaints of calumny against each other, and he wants to change that narrative.
While you should count yourself lucky in this massive task of restoring the state, every effort should be deployed to ensure total victory.
The governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Benue State, Mr. Titus Uba, says he will not resign his nomination as the party flag bearer over his health status, as speculated by some sections of the party with a view to replacing him before the general elections. Mr. Uba, who's the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, disclosed this in Makurdi after weeks on medical trip to Germany, where he had gone to seek medical attention.
I am back on my feet. I'm very strong. I'm here with my deputy. We are going into the race stronger than before.
The Oyo State chapter of the People's Democratic Party is set to hold a mega rally to create awareness for the party's flag bearer, Atiku Abubakar. The PDP says the only candidate with the pedigree needed to steer Nigeria out of trouble is Atiku Abubakar, hence the need to show that in a rally in the city tomorrow. The governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, has been reacting to a statement made by his counterpart in Rivers State, Governor Nyesom Wike, on betrayal and disloyalty over his decision to support the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar and accepting to be his running mate for the 2023 general elections. Speaking through his chief press secretary, Mr. Olisa Ifeajika, at a press conference in Asaba, Mr. Ifeajika notes that the resolution of the southern governors over the zoning of the presidency to the south does not in any way supersede the PDP zoning decision reached by the leaders of the party, including the PDP southern governors, towards the conduct of presidential primaries. The Coalition for Peace and Good Governance, a civil society organization, is asking security agencies in the country to arrest political actors promoting violence in the country ahead of the general elections. The group, at a press conference in Abuja, condemned the recent explosion in Okene local government area of Kogi State during the visit of President Muhammadu Buhari, as it criticizes the senatorial candidate of the People's Democratic Party for Kogi Central, Mrs. Natasha Akpoti, for her tweet on the incident. Politicians in Kogi State have been charged to sensitize their supporters against causing violence during the electioneering campaigns and the general elections. The Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 8, Mr. Ashafa Adekunle, stated this during a security stakeholders meeting in Lokoja, the state capital. According to him, politics is meant for development.
Thank you so so much, everyone. There you have it. You've been served with your political roundup stories. To some security stories coming from the Villa, President Buhari earlier today met with the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma. That was very much later hours after he signed the 2023 budget. But that is not the meat of the story. The crux of the matter is that the governor, after meeting the president, said that Buhari has ordered the use of technology to fight crime in the southeast region. After the meeting, the Imo State governor, who spoke to journalists, revealed that President Buhari approved the deployment of technology to combat insecurity in the southeast region.
Igbos that came home from Lagos and outside Southeast enjoyed the benefits of the second Niger Bridge, something that is worthy of commendation. I also thank him and then appealed to him for a further support, to support us with some technological deployments we have planned to be able to do an advanced kind of security control in the southeast, and he has also given his approval to that. And any moment from now, we will be getting some surveillance equipments and some modern technologies that will help us manage security so that we can fight crime. Those who are fighting me in Imo State, none of them, they are not saying we're not working. They're not saying we're not developing the place. They're not accusing us of any corruption. All they're saying is they are contriving, instigating insecurity out of desperation, and then blaming the insecurity on a government.
Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State. Now, let's get to our conversation for tonight. In just about 72 hours, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, is getting endorsements. And twice now he's gotten that. This time around, he's coming from another elder statesman, a Niger Delta leader, Chief Edwin Clark. Chief Clark announced his position at the news conference today in Abuja. The elder statesman based his endorsement of Mr. Obi on traits he believes are critical to leading the country. Take a listen to Chief Clark.
You want a transparent president. A president who is strong, a president who is educated, a president who is humble, a president who has every leadership quality that we want. We don't want a president we have to beg to sit down to find out whether he will fall, or whether he can stand or he can fall. He will fall. We want a president who should not be acting his age. A president should be selling his age from time to time. We don't want a president who is swearing year to year how old he is, how young he is.
Now you heard Chief Edwin Clark. What is the implication of the endorsement as the race to the presidential seat is getting more and more intense? The race for the ruling APC is perhaps more critical as I hope to retain power with a new renewed hope slogan. And presidential candidate of the APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, engaged today in an interactive session with Islamic clerics from the Northwest in Kano, where he was urging Islamic clerics to desist from hate preaching as the 2023 elections draw near. How would this race pan out? Well, like I painted earlier, if you watch football and the team that is the champion will be weary of being taken out of prominence by those behind it, and they sometimes want to retain it. Same with the Champions League. In fact, the World Cup. France wanted to retain the World Cup. They were the ones that before Argentina now took it over. So there is always a pressure on a sitting or a champion. Now, if you say the APC is the champion now, do they have what it takes to retain that victory? They had it in 2015 and 2019. Don't forget PDP is on the sideline, NNPP is on the sideline. So several other political parties, 18 of them are on the ballot. Tonight we speak with the presidential spokesperson of the ruling APC. Mr. Festus Keyamo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, he joins me virtually from the United States. Thank you so much, Mr. Keyamo, for joining me tonight, and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you very much.
Now, let's begin. I mean, I've seen your tweet a few times, but it does look to me that President Obasanjo's endorsement came. Your party reacted, you reacted, and you have waved it aside saying it carries no weight. Chief Edwin Clark is another person, and another Edo State man who have now endorsed Peter Obi. How do you react to that one, which is the latest?
Thank you, Shehu. I think we can say confidently today that the PDP campaign has collapsed. The PDP as a party has also collapsed. The various components of PDP in 2019 are the ones pulling out of that coalition. Nothing has affected the APC. If you look at 2019, go back and look at 2019, every single component of that coalition they formed, both inside and outside the party, against the APC, have virtually collapsed. The PANDEF endorsed Atiku in 2019. Edwin Clark is a member of the PANDEF. Ohaneze endorsed Atiku in 2019. Obasanjo endorsed Atiku in 2019. Afenifere endorsed Atiku in 2019. Middle Belt Forum endorsed Atiku in 2019. I know all of these groups. I was the returning officer to Mr. President and the APC in 2019 at the International Conference Center. So, of course, we are very much concerned about the results coming from different parts of the country, and I can tell you the results, off by heart. So I know clearly when we said, I mean, even though we said in a comical way, but it is true, that the jungle will mature for the PDP. What is going on now, Shehu, is that the PDP has virtually been turned to straight, both internally by the G5, and we hear there's a G1 now joining the G5, and also the sympathizers of the party in 2019. The party have imploded both inside and imploded even within, the supporters and the all those who formed some kind of alliance with the PDP. I want to ask you something, Shehu, and I want everybody, all Nigerians, to please put this in proper context of the results in 2019 and what happened in 2019. Can you tell me one major stakeholder, one, not two, one, major stakeholder that helped us to win the election in 2019, either as a party stalwart, or as perhaps a governor of the party, a sympathizer of the party that won the election in 2019 that has pulled out now and said they are not supporting us. Not one. Not one. But PDP, the various factors we have now that have upset the political terrain, which is Peter Obi and Kwankwanso, they were the components of PDP in 2019. Those are the two major factors now that have upset the political terrain now. The entry of Peter Obi and, of course, the NNPP, Kwankwanso. Those two factors here, who were they part of in 2019? So we can confidently say that the wheels of PDP are falling off one by one. Both internally and externally, the PDP has collapsed. So the recent endorsement of Edwin Clark, for me, I don't take the view, that some of my colleagues took against Obasanjo, pilloring him. And I'm excited by these endorsements. I'm excited by the endorsement of Obasanjo against Atiku and for Peter Obi, because the endorsement of Obasanjo is not against APC, it's against Atiku, because he supported Atiku in 2019. He was also a boss to Atiku. Like if you heard what Yeson Wiko said, he said it is a tragedy that your former boss, who should mark your scripts, who should give you a pass mark, has decided to endorse somebody else. In other words, Obasanjo's endorsement of that ticket in 2019 was because of Peter Obi. Was not because of Atiku. So right now, Obasanjo has followed Atiku, has followed Peter Obi away from PDP, has followed him to a Labour Party. Edwin Clark, who endorsed Atiku in 2019, has followed Peter Obi from PDP to Labour Party. What is the effect on APC? It has just made the path to our victory clearer. As I speak today to you, I'm not going to sound overconfident, but there's no time that the results of 2023 has become clearer and obvious to everybody than these endorsements that are coming. We're excited by them. We want them, these endorsements, to have the effect, the required effect that it should have, which is the fact that those votes they brought into PDP in 2019, they should take those votes away now and take them to Labour Party.
All right.
While the APC continues to work stronger.
So let me ask you, because there are permutations here and there where the G5 governors of the PDP, the integrity governors of the PDP, where they will ply their trade on where they will be supporting for the presidential election, because we have heard Governor Wike, who had clearly told his supporters in a live television telecast that, look, support so-so the PDP in as a governor, support so-so the PDP for Senate, but for the presidential race, he said they will come back to them to tell them. Now, one of those G5 governors is Governor Samuel Otom, who said, if I were not, these are his words, if I were not a member of the PDP, I will be following you everywhere to canvass vote for you. He was telling the Peter Obi. But I understand that there was some excitement within your camp that the G5 vote or the G5 are siding with you guys. Now, with indication coming from the mouth of Governor Otom, it looks to me like he's in the negative.
No. So, look, I want to let all Nigerians know this, including the APC supporters especially. We want to address our base. Either way the G5 goes, it's a win-win situation for the APC. Either way. Because this G5 is a component of the PDP. It's a strong component of the PDP. They are governors of the PDP. So if they go to Peter Obi, win-win for APC. If they come to us, plus again, win-win. Anywhere they go, except Atiku, is a win-win for us. Because even the votes they are taking to Labour Party will also not give victory to Labour Party. Look, the praise we are having for Labour Party is a contextual kind of praise. It's not the kind of praise that we think they will use to win the election. It is just the type of praise, the type of hype that is contextual in the sense that this is a young party. Peter Obi went there in the last 5 or 6 months or 7 months, okay? And they are doing well, better than expected. It's not that people will expect them to win. No, Labour Party will not win. I can bet with anything that is precious to me on earth. I can tell you, and I'm that confident. I put it down that they will not win. But it's in a context. I mean, flip it to the other way around. Flip it the other way around. Say APC, for example, wakes up tomorrow, they lose support of all 21 governors. They don't have any governor supporting them. They don't have any senator supporting them. They cannot fill all senatorial. They can only fill only 30% of senatorial seats. That is what Labour Party has been able to do, about 30% of senatorial seats and House of Rep seats. They don't have candidates in more than about 70% of the seats. Okay? So flip it tomorrow and that happens to Ross APC. And then that 3 elder statesmen are the only ones endorsing us. Adebanjo, Obasanjo, Edwin Clark. That is the only support APC, wakes up tomorrow to see on the ground. People will say we have failed. As a party, people will say APC has failed. How will you not have support or candidates in 70% of, senatorial seats or House of Rep seats? How will you not have support of any governor? Because these are structures of a party that deliver elections. If you flip it tomorrow, you know that you will say APC has failed. But why are they not saying that Labour Party has failed? That's why the fact that these are the very porous kind of support they have is because that for the short time that Peter Obi has gone there, they have done well. So it's in a context. It's not that people expect them to win. No. The race before now has actually been between the APC and the PDP. But as I speak to you now today, PDP has collapsed, completely collapsed. If you look at 2019, and look at now, 2023, demography does not change drastically overnight. Remember, I used the word advisedly drastically. There's some settled demography of this country. And since the numbers are not adding up again in the South for PDP, they have lost Southeast virtually. Peter Obing's factor, South-South with the destruction of West Yesson Wike and the rise of APC in the South-South. And for the Southwest that has, Asiwaju on the ticket that we have always won the Southwest since 2015. Put together, okay? Now, the numbers are not adding up for them. Now, if you look at their campaign so far, the PDP will continue to tell you that they are hoping, it's just hope upon hope, that there will be some kind of upheaval in the North, some kind of reversal of fortune. They are just some kind of betrayal of Asiwaju. All their hopes rest on the betrayal of the APC.
All right. So let me. Yeah. So let me. You're saying endorsement, but some of these endorsements have come also with a markdown for those who did not get the endorsement, especially your party. If I take some of the words of Chief Edwin Clark before I go to maybe I should even, in fact, go to former President Obasanjo. You are a 7th minister. Your party has been in power for the last 7.5 years. And this is what President Obasanjo said. He said, the last 7.5 years have no doubt been eventful and stressful years for many Nigerians. We have moved from frying pan to fire and from mountaintop to the valley. It went further to say that our leaders have done their best, but their best have turned out to be the best for Nigeria and Nigerians at home and abroad. For most Nigerians, it was hell on earth. This is how a former president, whom you will also say is the boss of your principal in the military, and he has marked him down. If perhaps, if you look at it, 0.
Very simple. Worst words and phrases were used against us by these same people in 2019. And 50 million Nigerians did not listen to them. They voted for us. Obasanjo said worse things about Buhari in 2019. He said he was poor in economic management of the country. The economy had collapsed. He said those very untruthful things. This is not a program for me to begin to debunk each and everything that he has said, because he ran a government that was worst. He ran a government that could not build infrastructure despite earnings. He ran a government that was really worse in terms of the rule of law, that they were removing governors at night. They were removing people, from office arbitrarily. We woke up one morning and Obasanjo's government published a list of politicians that were banned.
Let's focus on the performance of your government, because that is more important. Now, let's leave history. Some of the history you're counting are probably not even, they don't matter to 18-year-old new voters. He said that your government has not delivered, that your government has led to Nigeria from frying pan to fire, and that is marking of the performance of your government. That they voted for you in 2019, does it make your government right in the sight of the right-thinking Nigerians who voted for them, that they've delivered, you have delivered on the promises made to Nigerians?
We are taking that statement in the context of the weight the endorsement carries and the type of people they can sway not to vote for us. Because like I said, going into that statement, I was just going into it, you stopped me. Because it can take 1 hour for me to go sector by sector to show that we have done better than Obasanjo's government. That's a long way to go. But I can tell you that the short way to go in this interview is to say, what weight does that endorsement carry, Shehu? What weight? He said the same things in 2019. 15 million Nigerians did not listen to him. Edwin Clark said the same thing in 2019. 15 million Nigerians did not listen to him. Don't forget that in 2019, they talked about the health of Mr. President. They said he could not carry on with his health. Today, he's stronger than most of them. In 2019, they said the economy had collapsed. People did not listen to them because they knew that we were honest enough to tell Nigerians where we were and where we were going. They talked about every single thing they are talking about now. So that's the point I'm making, therefore, that in the context of what you are saying, the context of how does this endorsement or the pillaring of our administration, how does it affect the voters? And I'm telling you that it does not affect it in any way at all.
Okay, so let's put it in another context, Minister. Yeah. Now, if you look at it, just a moment, if you look at it again, you are a politician and you are a father. First, as a politician, when you go back to your, because they say every politics is local, if you go back home, your constituents will be asking what you have brought for them, either in terms of the immediate cash you're giving to them, or the project, or whatever you're bringing to their zone or their territory. Now, as a father, when you're coming back home, your children will be thinking if you pay their school fees or you're bringing food to their table. Now, to a larger context, Nigerians will be looking at where you met Nigeria and what is ongoing right now, what is obtainable. You look at the inflation rate, it was at 9%. Now it's over 20%. Unemployment rate, it was 8% before you came into power. It's now 33.3%. Debt profile has risen. I mean, there are debates over what culminates into that. Let's put that aside. What about exchange rate? How much did you meet the dollar? Now, the dollar is way almost 700 and something at the parallel market. Now, you look at a whole lot of indices that are not looking very well. And your presidential campaign council has chosen the slogan of renewed hope. See what the opposition has said about that slogan. They said it is a slogan coming from a realization of failure that want to salvage the situation. So what do you tell Nigerians that, oh, we met these things at single digits when we came into office, but now it's at double digit? Are the lives of Nigerians better now than when you met it? These are the questions they will be asking.
Let me tell you where we met Nigeria in 2015. We met Nigeria at a point where the economy was nose-diving and collapsing. Who said so? Not we. It was Okonjo-Iweala that said so, the Minister of Finance of the PDP government. A few months to hand over, she warned that the economy was nose-diving. At that time, don't forget that the GDP had collapsed from 6.5 to 2.2 or 2.5. That was the downward trend of the economy at that time. Why? Because they failed to make very useful investment of all the earnings that they earned in the 16 years of government. That is the effect we are feeling today. And what we are doing is trying to revive the economy. The economy is on an upward trend, no doubt about it. I'll give you the indices to prove that. But you are asking me specifically where we met the economy, where we met this country. And I'm telling you where we met it, because it was not by my own Ipsy-Dixit. It was by the Ipsy-Dixit. I'm sorry, I'm using a legal term. By the word of their own finance minister, not me. She said at that time that whoever inherited the government and whoever won was going to face a recession. She said we're headed for a recession, not me. So are you going to attribute all that to the APC? So we came on a rescue mission. The rescue mission continues. The damage PDP did to this country in the last 16 years cannot be easily remedied. Look at all the infrastructural. You talk about loans. Look at what we have used all our loans to do. You can virtually see them. You can see them. You can see the rails. You can see the bridges. You can see the roads. Tell me one, not two, one infrastructural development that the PDP engaged in 16 years when they were in power. They only talk about some very, ephemeral kind of achievements.
Mr. Keyamo, just a moment. Apologies, I have to pause you for a moment because we need to take a commercial break. And when we come back, the side of, or the part of your slogan, which the opposition said, renewed hope, just means that it's failure trying to salvage the situation. How do you explain to Nigerians that for 7.5 years you're on a rescue mission and they should vote for your party again? That conversation will continue after this break, everyone. Join us again.
This is what they call 21st century. When my customer say I want to use POS, I will just bring out my phone, open the application, press this code. I don't have anyone that using POS anymore.
And with us, we're focusing on the state of the race. If the ruling APC is now comfortable with the endorsement that we're seeing and how they hope to convince Nigerians as the ruling party going into the presidential race. Mr. Festus Keyamo, senior advocate of Nigeria, who is the spokesperson of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, has been speaking with me from Florida in the United States. Thank you so much, Leonard Sik, for joining us tonight. I caught into that line of thought the question I asked you and how you are able to defend the performance of the APC and the words of the opposition saying renewed hope alone as a slogan is an acceptance or the realization of failure of the APC, knowing that they've not been able to accomplish what they have promised Nigerians. So what would you be telling Nigerians that after 7.5 years, we have failed you, but still vote us into office, we will do better?
So, like I was saying, I was just, going through my train of thought. I talked about what Okonjo-Iweala, their own finance minister, said at the point of handover. Now, not only that, 2 central bank governors that served the PDP, go back and look at their speeches in 2014 and to early 2015. Soludo is alive, who is now the governor of Anambra State, and Mohammed Sanusi, the former, the emir of Kano. Both of them said whoever wins the 2015 election was going to inherit a mess. I did not say so. So when the PDP spokespersons, they come on air and they begin to rant about how well they left the economy and all that, refer them back to what their own people said. Not our people, we're not people in opposition. People who serve their own government. Their central bank governors and their finance minister said whoever won the 2015 election was going to inherit a mess. So it is not a doubt, therefore, that we inherited a mess. And we have been on that rescue mission for 7.5 years.
But you told Nigerians you can get the job done. That's why Nigerians, you preached that you were going to get the job done. That's why Nigerians voted for your party.
Are you not seeing infrastructure? We inherited a bridge, a second Niger bridge, on drawing paper, on paper. You're asking me what we had. That's what we inherited. A paper on paper for 16 years. It has been completed. We inherited so many, power projects on paper. The Zungeru, the Kasimbila power project on paper. They are now completed, bringing 4,000 megawatts back to the national grid. Those are the things we inherited. All of these economic issues in this you're talking about, they are sweeping across the globe. Go and see the IMF prediction. IMF prediction said the biggest countries in the world are going to face bigger crises in 2023. What it means is that we have been able to manage our economy to a manageable level in the face of global economic meltdown. These indices we are seeing could have been worse. It shows first of all, that we were left in a mess. We are still trying to clean up the mess. The mess was not going to be cleaned up by the flick of a switch.
Mr. Keyamo, I wish that we could move on quickly because there are a few other areas I'd like to touch. But, okay. One thing that would be very critical, just like PDP came to town and said, we failed Nigerians, and they were begging, they were apologizing. And I hope that tonight, I won't sit here and be a judge. That's not my job. My job is a journalist who presents the facts and asks the questions to those who are in office as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and I like to do so. Now, the question is whether there is a realization that wrongs have been done. Well, there are a lot of things that have been done right equally, but in several critical areas. Now, in your own time on government, Nigeria became the poverty capital of the world. In your own time, under this government, your own government agency said that Nigeria is now 133 million Nigerians are multidimensionally poor. The unemployment rate is at 8% before you came into office. It's now 33.3%. Now, inflation rate was 9%, is now 20.77%. Honorable Minister, how do you justify that? Is there a point where your party or this government will tell Nigerians, we failed in this area, we've succeeded in this area, apologize, and tell Nigerians how it could be done better? Is there any point that you can come clean to Nigerians?
Can you give me 3 minutes to answer this?
I'll give you 1 minute, because I have some other areas I would like to talk.
I want to tell you this. These figures you are talking about do not apply only to the federal government. People are there deceiving everybody. It applies to PDP governments in the states and APC governments too. The multidimensional poverty, we were the ones, it was not an external body, we were the ones who commissioned that report. And the multidimensional poverty shows that not monetary poverty, not in terms of money in the pockets of people, the access people have to social infrastructure that makes their life better, that improves their life. And those social infrastructure, education, clean water, health, good hygiene on and on like that. Those factors, those indices are indices that are provided by multi-levels of government, by local government, by state government, and by, of course, the federal government. And most of them are domiciled in the local government and state government. So we brought it out to show that other levels of government can do better in terms of provision of social infrastructure to the people of Nigeria. We commissioned it to show Nigerian people that they should hold their own representatives at the lower levels of government. They should hold them liable for some of those things they cannot get. Somebody turns on the tap, he cannot get water. Oh, Buhari is bad. That is the work, that is local government. Provision of such basic amenities. Primary education is local government. You cannot go to school, you say, oh, federal government. No. So we commissioned the multidimensional poverty affects all levels of government, especially the other 2 tiers of government. So let us educate the people better. It is not Buhari, it's not federal government. It's not APC government. No, it is all levels of government involving other opposition.
So let's move on. We can be at it all day because, I mean, I live amongst the very poor and I understand their plight. So let's move on. We can be at this all day because there are all indices that speak to this matter. Now, let's look at what Chief Edwin Clark said. There are inferences you can draw from what he said. And he says that he's talking about capacity, competence, and agility. He said we do not need, we need a leader. I don't want to go back into all those things he said. You heard what he said. And this applies to those he did not endorse, especially those who are the heavyweights in the race. Now, how do you defend, in fact, former President Obasanjo also mentioned, in fact, the former president also criticized the Emilokan factor that was now made popular by your candidate, that is a sign of entitlement, which he has been criticized.
Now, let me first of all clear that Emilokan slogan. And we have said it over and over, and it appears that, the PDP people, they appear like cheating students in an exam hall who cram questions, cram answers, who have seen the answers and they cram it to the exam hall. They memorize it. So when we get to the exam hall, the question changes, but they are still pouring the same answers down. That is why they are not listening to our explanation. We said in Emilokan, he was not talking to Nigerians. He was speaking to delegates, APC delegates in Ogun State, where he said, look, if you want to say those who have invested in this party, those who have supported, who have built this party, it is my turn. Give me the chance to fly the flag of this party. Was he talking to Nigerians? He was not. But yet, they keep repeating it 1,000 times so that they will look as if he was talking to Nigerians and claiming some kind of, moral high ground or some kind of entitlement. But then, Obasanjo too, he was also using Emilokan in another sense. He was saying that it is the turn of some other people to produce the presidency. And that was why he was saying it is their turn. And that's why he's endorsing somebody else. That is what he's saying. That for equity, for justice, it's what the same thing that Asiwaju was saying now within the delegates. So the delegates say, for equity and for justice, I have done more. Give me the chance. He is also now saying, for equity and justice, somebody also deserves it. He's also saying that our local, it's the same thing he's saying in another way. So Obasanjo should not be so sanctimonious.
Minister, speak to the issue of agility and age that has been drawn into this matter. They gave their reasons. Chief Edwin Clark actually gave his reason. He said he needs agility and someone whose age is on his side.
Do you remember Morgan's Vangarai? Morgan's Vangarai.
Absolutely.
Good. Do you remember his major campaign in Zimbabwe then? His major campaign point was that he was in the early 60s, he was late 50s to early 60s. He was agile, he was more, fit physically and all of that. And that then Robert Mugabe, who was in his late 80s, was not fit to rule Zimbabwe on the basis of health. What happened, Shehu? Morgan's Vangarai collapsed suddenly and died. And the same person he was talking about, which is Robert Mugabe, outlived him for close to 10 years. The same person. So it is a shock to see such elderly people come and talk about health when they cannot show Nigerians some kind of medical records. It is such a poor, representation of what they stand for and even the kind of age and wisdom they should have, can they say that the age that they have now, we pray for more life for them? My father, Edwin Clark, I pray for him to get to 100, 110, and Obasanjo too, who is also from my maternal home state, Ogun State. I pray for them. But then can they say that the good health they enjoy was as a result of their own making?
Are you asking leaders to now present their health report? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, of course. If it comes to that, because what is wrong with our candidates? Absolutely nothing.
Would your candidate be willing to do that?
Hold on.
If you're saying that, would your candidate be doing that?
Are you a medical practitioner? If there's any indication, if there's any indication, of course he will. But there's no indication. Where's the indication? Tell me what's the indication. There's nothing. Has he collapsed? Has he fainted? What is the problem? I still don't know. So they are pandering to base sentiment.
So why do you think, Mr. Keyamo, why do you think that...
is to repeat something
Mr. Keyamo, just a moment, why do you think that there is a very popular or there is a growing concern about the agility of your candidate? And why do you think this is a major point of conversation?
There's no growing concern. It is the trick of propaganda to repeat something 1,000 times and begin to say, if I begin to tell Nigerians now about Shehu and I trump, it's just like when they said Buhari was a Jubrin of somebody. Remember that it came as a complete joke. We all laughed over it. But it got to a point when pastors climbed their pulpits and began to ask, say, is that the real Buhari Nasoro? Until the president was forced to respond. Until we were forced to respond. That is the kind of nonsense that can stick as truth if you mention it 1,000 times. So, as I speak with you, the opposition has nothing to campaign.
So let's wrap. Yeah.
To repeat it 1,000 times.
Yeah. Let's wrap up this conversation. Let's look at the possibility, because I do know that no matter what, I mean, the confidence that you're showing tonight, your party is under intense pressure, and so will it be.
We are not.
Just allow me to land, please, just a moment.
Yes.
You might say you are not, but some of us cannot be fooled, because in any race, whether it's politics, sports, even academics, even if you are in a class and you are sitting for an examination, you'll be under some kind of pressure. Even those of us who speak on live television every day, there is a natural tendency of stage fright. That is natural, it's by nature. So either you agree or not, there is intense pressure within the APC. You want to win this election. How many states, for example, you have said that is the PDP that is at the loss based on this endorsement? But tonight, for example, in the Southeast, for example, how many states do you think you can win?
Can you give me just 3 minutes? I'm begging for 3 minutes.
We don't have that. We don't have the luxury of
analysis for you, because I don't want to guide me the way. Let me just give you an overall perspective of where we're going. And I have sat down in our war room and we have made our projections. The numbers are not adding up for PDP at all. And for us, it will be the 11th wonder of the world, if there's anything like that. I'm sorry, I'm not going to sound overconfident, but I'm just sounding, based on projections and, demography. So I'm not going to sound arrogant or confident before Nigerians. But the point is that it will be the 11th wonder if we don't win the election. The truth of the matter is that look at the demography of Nigeria. Like I told you when we started this program, between 2019 and 2023, what is going to change drastically? It is the entry of two different people to the election, which is Obi and Kwankwanso. Who did they support in 2019? Who is losing as a result of their coming into the context? That will answer your question. Secondly, are you going to say that I want to give you an expo, and this expo, I will release it a week to voting time to show you how the figures are adding up so well for us? Look at the 2015 elections, put it in one hand, like you say, have the 2015 in one hand. Look at the 2019 elections. Look at the loss and gains we suffered between 2015 and 2019. Look at that demography. Now, take those same losses and gains and apply it to 2019 and 2023. In those states where we lost, apply the same percentage of loss. In those states where we gained, apply the same percentage, because demography does not change overnight, especially when major issues have not changed for you.
Mr. Keyamo, we're totally out of time. Yeah.
Yes.
When you come back into the country...
One example before I go.
No, because we are totally out of time. When you come back to the country, I would like you to take a pen and a paper, and we have to do some analysis. At that time, you may have to get some political science tutoring from me right here in this studio when you come back at that time. Thank you so much, Mr. Festus Keyamo, for joining us.
Thank
the
you.
spokesperson of the APC-PCC. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight. Well, that's our show for tonight, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Sean Okimalo. I'll see you tomorrow again at 7 p.m. God bless Nigeria.